Good evening. Today is Monday, April 20th, 2026, and the time is 4:30 p.m. This meeting of the Prosper ISD Board of Trustees is hereby called to order according to Texas Government Code Chapter 551. Representing the quorum this evening are Mr. Webb, Mrs. Dixon, Mr. Cavender, Mr. Linker, Mr. Van Wolf, and myself, Bill Beavers. First this evening, we are going to have search firm presentations, and so we will do the full open here in just a little while. I will go ahead and pray for this part and get us going. Please join me in prayer. Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for everything you've given us. Thank you so much for Prosper ISD, all that it means to our students, our families, and this community. Father, right now as a board, we just come before you as we start our search for our next superintendent. Lord, in the Bible, you teach us many places about wisdom and discernment. And Father, in James 1, you tell us specifically if we are ever lacking wisdom, that we can come to you and ask for it. So that is what we're doing right now. And Father, you tell us there that if we ask for it, you will give it graciously. And so, Father, we are asking for you to bestow all of the wisdom on us right now as we enter in this time. Father, forgive us where we fail you, and thank you so much for loving us enough to send us your son, Jesus. And it's in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, let's see here. Thank you all for being here today. The board has reached an important milestone in its search of Prosper ISD's next superintendent. Tonight, we have the opportunity to hear from two executive search firms who will share their qualifications, approaches, and experiences in helping school districts identify outstanding leadership. Each firm will have 15 minutes to present and following each presentation, board members will have the opportunity to ask questions. Our first presenter this evening will be Lisa Crass. We appreciate you being here and look forward to learning more about your firm. The floor is yours.
All right. Thank y'all for having me this evening. My name is Ross Mitchell, and I'm here with Lisa Crass as a partner. We appreciate the opportunity to be here and kind of talk about our process, who we are, and how we can help y'all. So who's Lisa Crass? We're a boutique law firm located in Mansfield, also a high-growth district I know that's important to recognize here. And we have been, our shareholders have been practicing law for roughly about 50 years together. Rhonda specifically, who's the other person who works on executive searches, has been in education law for, I believe, over 30 years. Her dad was a superintendent. Her husband is a superintendent, or was. So she knows the intangibles of what makes a good superintendent more than just what's on paper, how to interview them, how to talk to them, ask questions, etc. And then I've been with Lisa Crass for a few years, but in school law for about 15 years. And I've worked in consulting, working with boards and leadership, and just kind of figuring out what do we need to move forward. And so y'all have had a really great season, a lot of growth, a lot of great things happening here. And I know you want to capitalize that and continue it. So we want to help with that too. Our process really is getting to know you. And so while we know things like that you're a high growth district, that you have an A rating, that there's a lot of really good positives going on here, we also know that there's challenges. No place is without those. And so getting to know and understand what those are from each one of you is going to be really important. And then as a board collectively, what are you looking for? What are some pros, some cons in applicants of that? Because that helps us weed out folks that maybe let's say you want just a deputy, someone that has a deputy or assistant superintendent or above. We'll take all candidates that don't have that out so that you're not having to sort through them, though you will certainly have access to them should you want that. We just try to give, we know your time is valuable, so we want to give you folks that are going to be a good fit for you based on what we think. So we would review applications, of course, and then work with you on a timeline. So as I mentioned, we want to get to know not just the board, of course, y'all are the ones making the decision, but we also know that there's a variety of stakeholders who want to be involved in this decision. And so that goes down to staff, that goes to parents, the community as a whole, et cetera. And particularly because this is such a high growth district and there's probably a lot of change, we would lean to you as to the level of feedback that you want from different stakeholders or different groups, and just kind of talk to it with you about what that looks like, because that can inform your timeline. So understanding your timeline for Dr. Ferguson's successor, understanding then what sort of feedback you want, that will kind of help us build our timeline to get you the right person. We want to just, of course, understanding someone's qualifications is important, but we also want to understand intangibles. Like I mentioned earlier, Rhonda knows what it takes to be a good superintendent because her dad and husband were in those roles for a long time. And so, and I've worked with a lot of boards and understand, we represent school districts, so we understand the dynamics and how to be successful in that environment. And so we work with clients, we talk to them about, their credentials, but their intangibles too, so that we can get you a match that makes sense. As I talked about opportunities for engagement, with a large district such as Prosper, it's hard for every campus or every parent group to have access to input. And so we would want to talk through what representative samples look like, what you've done in the past. I know y'all have used listening circles in the past to elicit feedback from folks, and I think that's would be a great model to kind of figure out how do we deploy those, who was chosen to be a part of those, or who was afforded the opportunity to be a part of those, and kind of run that back, since that was so successful in coming up with your strategy for the next few years. So the scope of work that we'll do for the fee that we'll talk about is assisting with evaluating applications, posting the applications in a number of different places. We also have a lot of contacts in the industry, so getting that out to people that we know or think may be a good fit or may be involved or may be interested. Mike Leeser, who's not part of the search but is part of our firm, teaches at Dallas Baptist and TCU in the superintendent program. And so we have a number of folks that, even if they're not interested, they may refer to someone else who may be interested in the role. And so we kind of work through both the posting and then also the informal or back channels to get a good pool of applicants to choose from. And then we bring you 15 applicants for you to look at and determine whether or not you want to interview for the first round. And it's not to say that you only get 15. So if we get 100, you have access to all 100. But again, getting back to the whole, your time is valuable, and making sure that we're giving you what you need to make a decision. We try to boil it down to the ones that we think, both on paper and in person, from phone screenings or in-person meetings that we've done with them, that we think may be a good culture fit for y'all, not just the board, but Prosper as a district. And then, when it gets down to the end, everybody who makes it to really even the first round of interviews, but generally the second, has similar qualifications or they wouldn't be there. So we help you draft up interview questions to the extent you find helpful. If you have questions you want to ask yourself, that's okay too. But we draft up interview questions and try to help you kind of prod at not just all the right answers, because I think all applicants come in wanting to say the right things and they rehearse the right things. But we work with you on behaviorally based questions to elicit the responses about the harder stuff, the things that may come up in the 21-day disclosure, the things that, an anonymous parent's going to write to you about that's mad from a different district, bringing some of that out to the foreground so that you can talk through those challenges or those concerns you may have at the onset or when you have that applicant in the interview, as opposed to thinking like, man, I wish you could have asked them that question. Of course, we're not here to represent that we can come up with all potential questions, but do want to make sure that we try to pull out not just the perfect A+ answer, but how do we deal with the nitty-gritty reality that sometimes happens. One of the ways that we do in thinking about feedback, one of the things we would probably do here is a survey, just to get some quantifiable data, or qualitative data, to make sure that we're getting that out to everyone who maybe couldn't attend a listening circle or a parent meeting, et cetera. and just getting some general themes. I think one of the things in my career that I've done with success with boards is understanding themes. And I know y'all did that when you set your motto for the next few years as a result of those listening circles. But we used surveys in that same way to see, okay, is what we're hearing in person the same as what we're getting from this large group, or are the people showing up in person mad and they want to change because they want to change, or is this something that the whole community feels? So we bring that to you, not with any sort of agenda other than to say, here's what folks are saying. I'm sure y'all probably won't be surprised by some, but I will say we've had occasions where boards are surprised by what their folks are saying, and so then we have to kind of recalibrate maybe what they're looking for. But our goal is to bring you all that data so we can figure out the ideal candidate or the ideal profile of a candidate for you, and then help move that forward through sifting through all the applications and the things that we will do. And I apologize, I don't have my time here, so if I'm running low, just let me know. We've done a number of searches in the past. This is just a list here. We've done some other ones that are in this northwestern, I guess y'all are kind of in the center, but the northwest quadrant of DFW, Argyle, Aubrey, Northwest, that all have similar, I mean, y'all are growing at a faster rate than those folks were, just in the number of students. As a fun fact, you're gaining about the amount of students every year that my hometown has in population. So pretty incredible for me to look at that. But so we've worked with schools that are experiencing high growth and having to open new schools and having some of the challenges that you have. So we know what to look for and how to help manage that challenge. So I've got some references on here for
You're
you.
at about a 5-minute mark.
Oh,
Yeah.
5 left.
minutes. Yeah,
Okay,
5
great.
left. Yeah.
So we've got some references on here for you that you can look at. Some peer institutions around, so like Argyle I mentioned, Aubrey is another one. Carrollton Farmers Branch, it's an urban district, so not as much growth as you are having, but a relatively recent search that you could speak to board members there about, or the superintendent. And then additional references, some of these were internal. Northwest was not. That was one that we did, I think, about 3 years ago, but I think most of the others are internal. And so any reference that you would like, happy to provide that. When it comes to fees, we charge $15,000 as a flat fee, and that does include expenses. And so I'd like to say we usually lose money on these somehow because there's so much work involved and so much time involved. And like I said, we really do try to get to know you, and that takes time. You can't just send a couple emails or come to a couple meetings. You really have to invest in that. But we do it because our firm's mission is to serve public schools. We care about public schools. Most everyone was a teacher prior to coming to the school law world. I was a sub, so kind of, not quite, but I understand that, the limitations of budgets and whatnot, but that's our fee. And then we have some options for timeline. I think, just in reviewing for this presentation and reviewing Prosper ISD, the board, and just the communications from the district, it seems like input from the community is important. And so, we have options on there initially that didn't have, said like no or limited community input. I think realistically, probably going to have more input from just optically, maybe not. But so we can adjust the timelines, but they're going to be, that takes a little time, to get that data, to have the meetings and to formulate decisions after that. So, timelines are always flexible though. They're not, not a hard and fast rule. What's on here we're not committed to, but we do work with you based on all of the things that we've talked about on how to best utilize this process to get you your result and how long that's going to take realistically. So any questions from me?
I have one question. You mentioned earlier in the deck, the board will determine the right candidate through a data-driven process. So could you speak further to that, and what, if any, assessments do you use in terms of third party, personality, cognitive ability, all those sorts of things? Talk to that if you can.
So we don't do any, well, I guess should the board determine they wanted to do that, that's something we could do. That's not a standard part of our assessment, just because a lot of times cost is a factor. And so, boards will opt to just interview or get to know somebody that way. And then also we vet them and we talk to folks that they've worked with. Rhonda seems like she knows everyone in the state. And so she'll talk to people who know someone and kind of get a full picture of them that way. Really looking more at their performance in the role than on a specific test. And that has merited some really good feedback. So sometimes I was doing a search last year oddly enough, when I was on parental leave, and I had engaged them prior to my departure. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to keep going through this one. And we found someone who this person had a bad reference, and we talked to a number of people from their previous district, and it turns out there was a conflict between the board and the superintendent. So where that might have gotten, that person may not have made it. He actually is now the superintendent at that district, and I actually talked to him on my way here today, and everything's going well. It's been about a year now. So that's kind of how we do it, but we certainly could engage personality or cognitive ability tests should that be.
Okay, so data driven, that's really just the interview process then specifically. Is there any data you're looking at beyond that?
We look at the performance of their campuses, their
Okay.
districts, depending on, again, what their roles have been, but to see how those folks are doing. If we have someone who's had all Fs or Ds, like a D rated district, we're not going to bring them to you.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mitchell, I have a
Sure.
question. Can you talk a little bit about your approach to vetting the candidates, specifically how you ensure that we don't have any surprises, either the board or the community, after we name the lone finalist?
Sure. So when I was in consulting, one of the things that we always did was work with clients on behaviorally based questions. So trying to figure out, tell me about it. We ask, tell me about a time, or we elicit responses that are not the ideal. So instead of what would you do if a coworker frustrated you, it's tell me about a time that you and a coworker didn't get along. And that phrasing can result in a different response because they're not anticipating it. And so it's one of the things, like, if we hear through our communications with folks that there was an issue with, the board and the superintendent, well, we try to talk about that. Well, tell me about a time, that you and your board didn't get along. What was going on? What happened? More importantly, how did you resolve it? How did you work through it? And kind of try to pull it out that way, and hear it from them so that we have that answer.
And then I assume you go through like an extensive background check, social
Mhm.
media.
Oh,
all that
yes.
kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing we want as a firm is to do the search and you get your perfect person, and then there's, a bunch of opposition research comes out and it's not good. So we do ask them on the front end, are there things that are going to come up in that 21-day search we need to know about? Are there things that an anonymous parent, I've had a parent who sends a letter to every district this person goes, an anonymous parent, of course, and says, you shouldn't hire this person because X, Y, Z. So when we find out that happens, we'll ask them ahead of time. So tell us about that. What happened with that situation? Because you're going to have to talk to your new bosses about it. And we certainly want to be the ones to bring that information to them. So that's how we handle it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, so I have a couple. The first being, we believe we're a pretty good place to come and work. We've got a lot of great opportunities for our kids and for our staff included. My question is, even with all that being said, is there a right or a wrong time to kind of enter this search, right? Like, we can't control Dr. Ferguson moving on to her next exciting adventure. We're saddened about that, but obviously we've got a decision to make around the next leader, and just curious about your thoughts on timing as it relates to this search.
So I think this is a good time to be looking. I think if again, it kind of depends on your timeline, knowing when Dr. Ferguson departs versus when would you like someone to take over? If that's, obviously the shorter that is, the more urgently you want to start the search. But I think now's a good time. I mean, people want to get their kids in school by enrolled in school by August, get set up by the next school year. And while we'd have to look at the timeline to see if that's going to work for you all with input and all that, I think it's a good time. I think I've heard from a number of superintendents that, you know, they're like, "Ugh, end of the year, things are getting crazy, starting to look, or people are calling them. So I think you're would be at a good time when folks have an eye out versus like starting in the fall where they're starting the school year, they're getting, you know, they want to get their program started, all of that, and then we're looking for a superintendent in the middle of that.
Great, thank you. And then second, just curious if you give us your elevator pitch on what you would say to a prospective candidate on why they should look at Prosper ISD.
Well, gosh, okay. That's a behaviorally based question, sort of, right there. I would just say that Prosper's got a lot going on. I mean, I first came up here a couple years ago and actually did some work with the district on a project and was amazed at how quickly this area is changing. So for a superintendent who wants to have a legacy or wants to be involved in seeing Prosper go from this space to 40, 50,000 kids, I mean, not a lot of superintendents have that opportunity or have that ability to manage that change. So for someone who's ambitious and someone who likes that there's still a small town feel here, because I understand that there is somewhat, I think it's a great place to raise a family. You've got a lot of programs. Your schools are great in terms of offerings for students of all different capacities and all different interests. And so I think that my elevator pitch would be, hey, if you want to go and really build something and build a team and be able to maintain and recruit folks, this is your place. This is the place to go. And there's very few opportunities like this in the state right now. And so come to Prosper.
Thank you.
I've got a question. So in the last 12 months time, call it, y'all have done a number of searches here in the Metroplex. Are you seeing the same candidates apply to each search, or are you getting a new pool of candidates that either y'all are talking to or are applying, or kind of?
Sure. So we're, my most recent search was a smaller district, and I think our current search that we have going on is also a smaller district. They lost their superintendent in a car wreck, and so they kind of unexpectedly jumped in that. So I think part of the folks that look for a smaller environment probably, you know, they're applying in the same for the same types of roles. But I think for folks that are, I mean, I've seen a number of new applications or folks trying to move up from area superintendent or assistant superintendent, move up to the main seat. And so, and I think in a district like Prosper, you're going to elicit a lot of interest from across the state. And, you know, there may be some candidates that we've seen before, and then there's probably going to be a lot that are new because of just because of the opportunity and the reasons I said earlier.
And last question, how many active searches do y'all have going on in the state or the Metroplex right now, if you can say
Sure.
that?
Yeah, we have one. We don't like to do more than 3 at a time because we don't want folks we don't want to have like meet somebody for District A, for example, and then District B comes and we're like, actually, you'd be perfect for them. You know, so we try to manage that as much as we can. And so we have one going on right now. Like I said, that was the car wreck incident. But yeah, so one at the moment.
Okay. Questions, anyone else?
I got a couple follow-ups. We have time, or
Absolutely.
so talk about placements and the scale of your firm. So one search now, it looks like by your list, I counted about 50. So what is the scale of the firm in comparison to the space? What's number of total full-time employees you guys have in-house? How much is done in-house? Talk about some of that if you can. And then if you could also end with just the success rate of some of your placements. I don't know if you measure tenure or turnover beyond placement. Speak to those if you could.
Sure. So we have, I believe, recent count is 12 attorneys and probably 4 or 5 professional staff with us. So your main folks that would be doing the search would be myself and Rhonda, because we don't want to hand you off to a number of folks. Like, as I mentioned, kind of, y'all probably get tired of me saying this. We do want to get to know you, and like, I mean that. And so for that reason, we limit who's engaging with the board to that. But so that's, I mean, we would use some of the professional staff for like, well, the PowerPoint, for example, things
Sure,
of that nature.
sure.
But anything that has to do with, that could be outcome determinative or that's kind of synthesizing information, we like to do that because we have the experience in that. And then I apologize. Your second question, I think,
Yeah,
was
just
tenure.
placement success from the
Yeah.
day they're starting. What does turnover look like compared to industry average, state, et cetera?
Sure. At last glance, I think it was about 4 to 7 years is our tenure. The ones that the high growth districts that we placed, I looked at the list, and they've all been there around 3 years. And so, I don't, as to the state average, I think that's pretty common, is that same time frame. For a variety of reasons, people move to larger districts. I mean, I think you guys are a destination district, and that someone's going to get here and stay if they do well. And so, I don't have that. You're not a stepping stone, I guess, is my point. Whereas other districts may face that.
Got it. And then last follow-up question, if you don't mind. What would you do differently in Prosper ISD that you haven't done in the other 50? Because to Jordan's point, we think it's special.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the stuff is copy and paste, a lot of the postings, a lot of the platforms, et cetera. But what would you do differently to go above and beyond for this district compared to the previous group?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think, being from a small town myself, I understand, I value knowing the community and knowing and really understanding what this community means to the district, what the district means to the community, et cetera. And so that language infuses in all of the postings and all of the communications that we have with folks. Because if someone's looking for a place to, come and clock in, clock out, and not be a part of the community, that's not going to work. And so our goal is to find you someone who understands, perhaps not at the onset, what this community means or what the history of it is or why it matters. But once they get here, they have a heart and a willingness to want to learn that and want to be part of the community, be active. And I know that that's changing because this community is growing so quickly. But what will help me and what will be part of our conversations is, all right, what is Old Prosper? What is the community historically, and what is it now, and what is it what are we envisioning it to be? And that will help inform, again, like I said, our postings. I don't like copying and pasting because I think that that's not really giving you a whole lot of, it's not showing any personality. And I feel like, you can see even when we did this PowerPoint, I asked our visual arts person, I was like, go find pictures of Prosper. Like, this needs to be for them. It's not for anyone else. And so we picked out like a couple different ones, and, not that requires any applause, just as a note to show like we don't copy and paste. And because we don't do a ton of these month after month, we have the ability to tailor it some, and make it fit your community, your needs, et cetera.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you very much.
you,
We
Ross.
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thank you all.
Thank
Have
you.
a good evening.
You too.
Okay, we will now bring up JG Consulting, and we will give y'all 15 minutes here, so that'll leave us at, what about,
Miss Roy's got to grab them.
oh, sorry, thank you. That's what happens when you don't look up. Haven't figured these things out yet. Read and then look out there. Too much going on.
Thank you, Fernando. That was bothering me.
Me too. It was bothering Fernando too. Okay, our second presenter of the evening will be JG Consulting. Want to say welcome to y'all and thank you. You've got until about 5:15 or so, and then the board will have some questions for you.
Wonderful. Well, distinguished members of the board, members of the community, and staff, my name is James Guerra. I'm the president and CEO of JG Consulting. Joining me is Dr. Hinojosa. Would you like to say a couple of words?
Thank you very much. We appreciate your work. Board members make a whole lot of money, and they make everybody happy. But we're very proud of the work that you've done. I've lived in this community most of my career, and the fact that because of your brand, you're one of the 30 largest districts in Texas and one of the 200 largest districts in the country. And it's, you're doing something right, and we're here to help you. This is the most important decision you've had to make. I know a little bit about this work. I was a superintendent for 27 years. The only bad news is that when I first became superintendent in 1995, I was 6'5", but I get cut down to size all the time, especially at home. But here, we're just glad to be here to present to you and help you through this process. I'll turn it back to James.
All right, he was never 6'5". I'm just teasing. We've known each other a long time, so if you hear us giving each other a hard time, we have a lot of history. So I'm going to be brief in our presentation. I will mention that we are a full-service consultancy, and by definition, we do quite a few things other than just executive searches in support of our district partners. We have a leadership development program for aspiring superintendents. We do 5-year strategic planning work and a number of other things, but we'll dive into that. We've been in the business since 2014, so if hired by Prosper and by this board, you will be our 70th superintendent search over the past 12 years. We've currently have represented 69 superintendent searches and placements across 24 different states. So we're really proud of the work that we've done. Not pictured are 2 of our full-time staff, Jacob Wilson, Lisa Goodell. We do have other faculty representation, repurposed, recovering superintendents like Dr. Hinojosa scattered all over the U.S. But we are Texas-based. We're based in Georgetown, where I reside. We have a brick and mortar office there, and then other faculty scattered across the state. So some of the key highlights that I'll share: stakeholder engagement is critically important to this work. If it's the will of the board to meet with your constituents, whether it's faith-based leaders, community leaders, other civic leaders, parent groups, student groups, we want to meet with everybody that you feel is important that we hear from. We'll engage the community both in person, virtually, and by phone, but we're going to take the advice and guidance of the board.
Yeah, and recently we did the Coppell search, and since I'm local and my grandkids live in North McKinney, I sure like to come out here an awful lot and meet with your stakeholders to get their feedback.
And I'm glad Dr. Hinojosa mentioned Coppell. So we just finished with Mansfield ISD here recently and conducting their superintendent search. Also with Coppell, as he mentioned, Lake Travis, Eanes, and then next door in Lovejoy ISD twice. So the current sitting superintendent in Lovejoy is someone we've placed as well. But what you're going to learn about us, I mentioned that we're a full-service consulting firm. We have a lot of technology that we use as the vertebrae of supporting our school board partners and our district partners. And I'll get into the specifics of that here momentarily, but we have proprietary software. We have a lot of technology to help us be efficient. And then we also do a lot of work with transition and support beyond the superintendent's placement. So Dr. Hinojosa and others can provide, if it's the will of the board, support with onboarding, governance training, and other things that might be relevant to suit your transition needs. This is what our proprietary software looks like at a high level. What we have done is developed what we call a scorecard. So if you think of like a sports card, like a baseball card, a basketball card, you have truncated statistics on the back of a sports card. What we have done is we've taken all the accountability data from across the U.S. and then paired it with NCES data, Great Schools data, and data out of Stanford. And we want to measure the academic performance of each leader who is applying for this position over a period of time. So on a resume, if he or she says that they've moved the needle for Hispanic students upwards of 5% over the last 3 years, where our software can verify whether those claims are true. So if it's in writing, we're going to be able to vet and verify as an additional mechanism to screen whether those claims are accurate. And so you will have access to the software. Our recruitment will cast a wide net. One thing I do want to emphasize is the word traditional education leaders. Out of the previous 69 superintendent searches that we've supported in hiring and working with our school board partners, all of those with the exception of one have been traditional education leaders. So starting as a classroom teacher, a principal, a superintendent, or administrator. So non-traditional would be somebody who's outside of public education, but most of our partners want the traditional pathway. And we'll cast a wide net. I mentioned that we have a team of 34 repurposed recovering superintendents, but we also have really deep ties to all of the associations you see here. And in fact, Dr. Hinojosa serves as a superintendent in residence with the Council of Great City Schools. I'm currently on the board of the Friends of Texas Public Schools, and I also serve on the Austin ISD Ed Fund Board. So we're all public school supporters, obviously, and that's the genesis of our work. We have a proven track record. We're batting 1,000. We've 100% placement rate, nearly 70 superintendent searches, as I indicated earlier. We've been doing this work for quite a long time. On the left-hand side of this graphic, those are our statistics. We're currently at 240 executive searches. We just retained to recruit 3 more deputy superintendent searches, so that number has gone up since we submitted this deck. Represented 24 states. 68% of those that we've recruited are still in their role today, with an average of 6-year tenure. And it's roughly a 1-to-1 split from men to women, so 50% women, 50% male placements. Right side is really just an overview of statistics provided by district admin. So not necessarily relevant to us, but I always like to point that out because our tenure is a bit higher than the national average. So some of the district priorities that we wanted to highlight, of course, the board interviews and the consultations. I mentioned earlier the will of the board. So the way we will start our work with you, Dr. Hinojosa and myself will meet with each of you individually. We have a series of 10 questions we will ask, like certain things like what attributes and characteristics are you looking for in the next superintendent? What stakeholders are important to you and who should we meet with in the community? And just some of the key talking points. We'll synthesize that information. We'll determine our approach. We'll share the overview with all of the board, and then we'll get an idea of what is appropriate amongst the consensus of the board in terms of engaging the community. We can survey your community members in multiple languages. Our technology, we've done more than 70 languages in some scenarios in different communities across the U.S. So there's no ceiling when it comes to the technology and the types of surveys you can use. And then ultimately that development will create a meaningful leadership profile that captures all of the feedback from both your internal and external stakeholders. So we'll create a unique profile that is meaningful to Prosper ISD. Market analysis. So we'll benchmark superintendent compensation against comparable Texas ISDs. We'll also look at a national landscape. Again, if it's the will of the board, we can take a look at a number of different data sets. We'll assess the total compensation structures, base salaries, benefits, annuities, et cetera. We'll analyze the current talent market conditions, the talent demand in terms of other vacancies, not only in the state of Texas, but in this region in particular. And then we'll provide you with all of that information so you can make an informed decision. The compensation advisement will also include working closely with either your in-house counsel or your third-party counsel. We often work very closely with all of the legal counsel firms here in the state and nationwide. We do have certain templates that we can provide as a supplemental resource or a complementary resource, and then other things that we've used in the past to help you with your transition plan. Some of the communication strategies we'll implement, of course, all of the board-facing communication. We'll update you by the close of business every Friday with weekly communication in writing. We're readily available to you. Dr. Hinojosa mentioned that he's local. I'm not far down the road, down I-35. We do have a secondary office in Carrollton, so I'm here almost every week as it is. And plus, we have other consultants that live here in the area. But the two of us will be your boots on the ground, your primary points of contact. The community communication will be ongoing. We'll create with your district's technology department a unique webpage that will update your community, both internally and externally, with regular updates. So all of the major milestones related to the superintendent search will be accessible on your district's webpage. We'll have survey links. Anything else that the board feels is relevant to share publicly, we'll support you in that need. Candidate communication, we'll take ownership and responsibility of communicating on your behalf. with candidates, and that's also important for confidentiality's sake. So that way we can be the courier of all the information. We're not obligated to relinquish any information if we are the carriers of that candidate information. And as far as all the media and external messaging, we'll also honor that commitment and maintain all of that messaging. So when it comes to advertising the positions, everything will be done through our primary website. We also own superintendentsearch.net, which any firm in the country can utilize for free. And we use that as a secondary proprietary channel for advertising. So here's some of the milestones that I'll just quickly highlight. So working backwards from July, understanding that's kind of the goal based off of our internal homework. We would start again with the planning discussions with each trustee, meet with each of you individually. We'll synthesize the feedback and the input you provide to us. We'll create the application portal. We'll do all the stakeholder engagement. And then getting into the month of June, the application portal will likely close. We'll have the candidate reviews, and then you'll begin conducting interviews the month of July. And that gives you plenty of time during the summer to have a transition before the new school year. So you still have ample time for the incoming superintendent, whether they're internal or external, to get acclimated to the community.
And I get asked all the time, when's the best time to hire a superintendent? There is none. Some people say, oh, we got to get them here to the start of the school year. Well, they inherited somebody else's strategy, somebody else's team, somebody else's budget. And the most important thing is get the right person. And then you can put your systems together to make everything work. Ideally, if you can hire them, if they report late in the fall, then they get a lot of time to plan the following year. So don't worry about the timeline. There is no great time to hire a superintendent. Just get the best candidate.
Thank you, Dr. Hinosa. And he's right. There really isn't an ideal time. We have a number of different searches, oftentimes going simultaneously. Right now, we're fortunate where we get a little bit of a break. I mentioned that we just concluded with Mansfield ISD. So we currently have approximately 20 cabinet level searches that we're conducting, but we manage that work remotely. So we do that from our office, and it doesn't require a ton of in-person engagement. So he and I will be dedicated here in Prosper if you choose to partner with us. So, and that's great. For us, on average, we would normally only manage maybe 2 to 3 superintendent searches every quarter. But right now, we're in a good time period because we can focus solely here on the work with you. And then the cost analysis for us, our baseline cost is $40,000. But what I would say, and I put this in parenthetical notation, it's negotiable. We understand that given the environment now with recapture and just the deficits that a lot of our partners are having encumbered, we want to be good stewards of your taxpayer dollars. So if 40,000 is too much, we want to certainly work with you and to help you where we can. And that's pretty much it. I wanted to go through this as quickly as I can, but spend more time answering your questions.
Thank you. Okay, questions?
Yeah, I've got a quick one. So of your 69 placements, roughly how many of those were Texas specific?
Great question. So majority are Texas-based, and I would say simply because we are a Texas-based firm, we are the only national firm that is based in the South here in Texas. Our counterparts, for the most part, that are nationwide are concentrated in the Midwest, but most of our work is done in Texas. So from large to rural, so working anywhere from West Texas and Socorro, Region 19, all the way to Houston ISD, and a lot of searches here concentrated in Region 11 and in Region 10. I mentioned a few with Lovejoy Community ISD, but we're very fortunate to have a good footprint in Texas.
If I were to guess, it'd be at least 2/3 have been here, maybe 3/4.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I should know that off the top of my head, but time has I've slept a lot since some of the original searches. So if I had to guess, I would say close to 80% are Texas-based.
That's a great answer. That's a fair answer. Yeah, thank you. That's great. You mentioned posting on your superintendent search website and then your JG website. Are we able to, I'm guessing we're able to post like on Region 10 and those other, do you guys facilitate that or would that be up to us?
We do. We take ownership of all of that. The state association, TASA, the Texas Association of School Administrators, they've launched a new career portal. So we have access to that as well. As a member of the Fast Growth School Coalition, we'll cast a net amongst that coalition and that group. And then there are other national publications like we highlighted, ALAS as one. They have a job portal. NAPSI has a job portal. So, and I'm using a lot of the acronyms, so I apologize for that. But all the national affiliates and then their state affiliates will leverage that. But what I'll say is we're not relying on the advertisements. The real magic happens with our ability to recruit and to poach. We're looking for people who are content and happy in their current role. They're not necessarily looking to leave. Those are the types of individuals that you want. Somebody who's not running from something, but rather towards something.
Yeah, and our networks, and I'm still engaged with a lot of superintendents and leaders in the state of Texas. Lake Travis, another firm said, look, there's this great guy that is interested in Lake Travis. We heard you're doing a search. So they call us and we identify where the match is. And you have a unique situation where you've grown so much and very few people have had this experience, but we happen to know people in those areas. So we understand, we try to do the customer intimacy. We know what you are looking for and what you've done and what you're about to face. And so that's how we try to align people who have those skill sets that are really important to you.
Yeah, it's a fair comment. And no one will know your community better than you and those in this room. And so the beginning, those consultations that I referenced a couple of times, that's really telling for us because we get to understand like what are the aspirations that you have, what are some of the challenges we must overcome to be successful, and then we match based off of the feedback and the input. So stakeholder engagement with your input and even the input from the student groups that you've identified, that will be really helpful for us. But we won't rely on the advertising, I can tell you that. We hustle. We have a lot of energy and we're on the circuit quite a bit, traveling, engaging with superintendents. He and I get a ton of phone calls, but our team in general, we have a really robust team with really impressive backgrounds and experiences that'll help us behind the scenes.
I've got a question. Without giving away too much on things, what's your read on Prosper ISD? What's your read on our board? And is there people that y'all have already thought, hey, that could be a good fit over there that you are already thinking in our direction, so to speak?
Yeah, I've been watching you guys for a long time. When I was superintendent of Dallas, Madison used to have all their playoff games in your gym. So I would coming up here and I would just kind of try to blend in and get away from Dallas. And I was in awe. And, you know, with the fact that Frisco is now losing schools and that you're in the outer ring and you really need someone who can handle that. Your performance is phenomenal. We're going to get a lot of people that are interested, but can they handle the challenges that you're going to have because of the growth, because of the expectations? And one of the things we got to make sure someone can help you through all the systems. We talked about Socorro. When I went out to El Paso, my first superintendency, they had 17,000 students. When I went back to help them get out of budget issues, they had 47,000 students. And so you need to have someone who has, can help grow the sophistication of going to a powerhouse system. And that's what we need to help you with, to identify those people that can handle that kind of work. And I run an academy training people how to be superintendents. By the way, you can't apply to that academy. You have to be recommended by someone that we respect, and you have to be the head of a major division. So we look at skill sets, and we know that certain skill sets are transferable. And we know that you're a high demand, high expectation community with a tremendous future, but it could be perilous if you don't have someone who can help guide you through those processes. So I've been keeping up with you a lot, and I've been very proud of your success. But what have you done for me lately? You got to keep it going with the kind of expectations that are in this community.
Thank you. What I'd like to add is, stating the obvious, you're an A-rated district. So when you have a high bar, you set, without even knowing it, you perhaps might have some exclusionary criteria where you might only consider candidates who are coming from equally rated or similar types of communities or school districts. And some of our recent partners, by design, using our technology and those scorecards that I showed, made the decision as a collective board, or boards for that matter, because there's multiple high-performing districts, said that they would only consider candidates who had similar experiences with similar communities, similar demographics, fast growth. You may be planning for additional bonds down the road. Do you have referendum experience? How have you engaged and coalesced a community around a shared vision and a set of goals? So you might have certain priorities in mind already that you've been discussing as a board. But what we can see just from, an optic standpoint, our own perceptions and our own read, that I agree with everything that Dr. Hinojosa has said. But you have high standards, right? And you want to maintain those high standards because that's what's going to keep families wanting to move here to enroll their children and have students graduate eventually from Prosper schools. So we just want to help you continue that legacy. But like I said, nobody will know this community better than you and those here already. So we need to learn from you, but we're quick learners and we hustle. So we'll be immersed in this community, boots on the ground, and I enjoy spending time here. I have a lot of extended family in this area, and I lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for a better part of my career. So I always enjoy spending time in this area.
So you've answered mostly two of my questions, but the last one I'll throw at you is, what makes us different from the outside looking in?
Yeah, and I think Dr. Hinojosa articulated this, but if you look at the state of our public education system, not just in Texas, and this is universal, but you're still growing and you're not closing schools, but you're still maintaining that high standard of excellence, being an A-rated district. But you have a lot of your peers in community districts who aren't benefiting from that per se because they're closing schools, like you said. That makes you unique, but that also is attractive to some of these sitting superintendents who aren't necessarily looking to leave. I had a phone call on Saturday from a candidate who said, if you get the job, I'm just letting you know that we're planning to apply. My family wants to move to Prosper. And that's a great problem to have because you already have people paying attention to what's going on.
I study demography all the time, and one of the things that is pretty alarming, every urban and mid-urban district is declining enrollment, and their third grade class is smaller than their 11th grade class, and that's going to exacerbate. You're the opposite, and this is that creates different challenges, but also creates other opportunities for you, and you have to be prepared for that. So. Um, we will try to make sure that whoever comes in here knows what you're facing. But I think that that's a benefit, but it's also exciting, but it's also scary. And that you want someone who really is going to embrace this as an opportunity to create something special in this part of the community, especially in the Metroplex. So. And the paradigm has shifted quickly. And you also need to be on top of the data. The data changes every 18 months. And Frisco thought they were going to be on this for a while, but then now they're closing schools. So we got to have someone who's thinking about the here and now, but is also helping you project every 18 months where you're going to be and what your needs are going to be so that you can stay ahead of the game and not get behind the game.
Yeah, I think that's a great comment. I mentioned that, we're based in Georgetown, so I reside in the Georgetown ISD school system in the district. I served on their most recent bond committee, and the demographers gave us a set of data that was forecasting we were going to continue to add more new home builds. We're going to open more schools. We just put a pause on some of the additional schools that were projected or passed to be built for the last bond. So we're finishing 2 schools, but they essentially declared that they're going to stop with any new builds because the growth has flatlined. Whereas the demographer said it was going to continue to go upwards, but that's not the case. So I think to Dr. Hinojosa's point, it's like that future projection. Yes, sir.
You had talked about your scorecard that captures important data points. How do you vet for things that maybe could surprise the board or our community, once we're far into the process, or perhaps after we name our lone finalist?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. So we work with a third-party agency. It's AssureHire, MitraTech. It's powered by MitraTech and AssureHire, this platform. So we outsource our background checks to this third party. So they vet everything from academic credentials to credit history, social media, scrubbing, all the necessary due diligence. So when we get to the lone finalist, the final stages, we'll outsource that vetting to them. And then we also do our own media scrubs as well to ask or to identify if there's anything there that could surprise or alarm the board. And then when we speak with candidates, we ask a simple question: is there anything here that would surprise us or surprise our school board partners? So that way you're not blindsided by something randomly that comes from a background check. But the background checks you'll have access to, they're an encrypted file, and they're a PDF format, anywhere from 20 to 40 pages, depending on how many municipalities the candidate has lived in, how many states. It all depends on their tenure also.
We also look for red flags, you know. Everybody's gonna list someone as a reference that likes them. But we look for omissions. Who do they not list? Did they not list their last board president, but they did the secretary of the board? Well, then we start getting aggressive and trying to look a little bit more behind the scenes as to why didn't you mention the board president where you served together or where you are now? See, so we look for, my training was in HR. I was, from 1990 to 1995, I was an HR exec in Grand Prairie. And so a lot of my background was from in those kinds of nuanced areas. And so that's another thing that we help you with.
Thank you.
I have a question from a data standpoint, going back to the portal, which you mentioned on that. Beyond that, I know there's a lot of search firms that focus on other elements that do a lot of assessments, third party, fit indexes, all those types of things. Can you speak to kind of what your experience has been with that, what you do and don't like, and what you do and don't use along those lines?
Sure, yeah, it's a fantastic question. So we use a interview platform referred to as Spark Hire. So it's white labeled for us, but what it does is we invite the candidates who apply. So once we receive letters of interest, resumes, academic transcripts, verification forms to engage in the background checks, we require each candidate to complete a short video vignette. So they're going to use their own device, whether it's a desktop or a laptop. And there are some supplemental or complementary features within that give us kind of a ranking score based off of the questions that are asked. Typically, it's 3 to 4 questions. Like one might be, what drew you to apply for the superintendency with Prosper ISD? And they're timed. So they're conducted independently of us. So there's no one on the other end. It's kind of impersonal in that way. But there are built-in assessment tools. But internally, without giving you the insights to how we vet, we use nominal grouping technique as a team to identify who most closely fits the leadership profile. And for us, the leadership profile is the North Star, because that's developed through input and feedback from you, from your stakeholders internally and externally. So the leadership profile is our benchmark for identifying who is the best fit or the match, as Dr. Hinojosa would say.
There's an art and a science. I have to tell boards all the time, this is not an interview. This is a recruitment and selection process. I had one board take a guy that did this interview, and his tie was crooked and he said too many times, and so they didn't even interview him. He's now the superintendent of Cy-Fair ISD because they over relied on that. So you need to look at the body of work. Also, I had one district that was very infatuated with this female candidate who was so polished and she was great. We looked at the body of work. They didn't hire her because they got smart. They looked at the whole body. Somebody else hired her and fired her in 6 months because she was a former TV reporter who had come into education. But see, you have to look at all of those. There's an art and a science to this. So we'll work all the way through all that. Because just if the board dismisses some candidate, then tell us why you dismissed them. And yeah, we can maybe address that. Tell them why you got so excited about this one. And so that's a negotiation process so that you can do your due diligence.
Yeah, and with the background report, there are literal red flags. So I know that's, common verbiage these days, but in the background reports, you'll see if there is something there with respect to either a personal history issue or a professional matter affiliated with a candidate or candidates. it'll have those identifiers. And we're not withholding any information from the board. So everything that we receive, you will have access to. We don't work with the stable of candidates. We're not recycling a candidate A to come to candidate B. In fact, once we place and recruit a member of a senior team, we don't recruit that person away. So it's partially why we are so lean and mean in terms of our representation, but we're not looking to recycle candidates and, place them in Capel and then bring them here and vice versa. We wouldn't do that to you. We want to be a committed resource to you for the long term. The project itself will last maybe 4 months at the most, but then we want to continue to support you for indefinitely for as long as you'll have us so that we can ensure your success and the success of the incoming superintendent.
Thank you. Other questions?
Can you just duplicate her? Be easy.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all's time. coming
Yeah,
in.
thank you for your service to public education. Best wishes to you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, we will now recess into closed session according to Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Sections 071, 072, 074, and 076. The board plans to reconvene this evening at 6:30 p.m. Thank you so much. Let's see here. The time is 6:30 p.m. and we will now reconvene after closed session. Just so everybody knows, this evening, 4:30, we opened up the start of the meeting. Had some superintendent search firms come in and present to us all of that. You can watch the video of all that fun stuff. So went ahead and had that done, and we are now back for the regular meeting. The Board of Trustees extends a heartfelt gratitude to our entire Prosper ISD community. In Prosper ISD, we unite students, families, teachers, staff, and the larger community in the relentless pursuit of excellence. Together we champion. We support every student's journey to excellence. Together we cultivate. We create meaningful connections across our growing community. Together we empower. We develop our people to lead and inspire growth. Together we prosper. We unite in shared purpose while honoring individuality. Your collective commitment to Prosper ISD is what makes our district thrive. Thank you for choosing and supporting our schools. Mrs. Dixon, would you please lead us in prayer this evening?
Yes, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight with gratitude for our community, for our families, our schools, and the opportunity to serve. Thank you for the students and staff who make our district the special place that it is. As we enter this testing season and approach the end of the school year, we lift up our students, grant them peace and calm minds, remind them that these moments are just a snapshot of their knowledge and growth, not a measure of their worth. Give them confidence, clarity, and the ability to recall all that they've worked so hard to learn. We also lift up our teachers and staff to give them the peace in knowing the seeds they've planted throughout the year, the time, the care, and the dedication they've poured into their students have truly prepared them well. Let them feel encouraged and confident in the difference they've made. And Lord, we ask you for guidance over this board. Grant us wisdom, discernment, and unity as we make decisions that will shape the future of this district. Help us lead with integrity, humility, and a focus on what is best for those we serve. We place this meeting in your hands. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Mr. Webb, would you please read the board's vision this evening?
Yes, sir. The board's vision is to ensure a safe and supportive educational environment that promotes academic excellence and opportunities, honors traditions, fosters student learning, facilitates effective recruitment and retention of talented educators, and grows all people at all levels.
Thank you. Wish my voice sounded that good when it was. Thank you. As always, this meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act as outlined in Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. All of our voting must be conducted in public. However, we can privately discuss certain items, including but not limited to matters regarding individual employees, individual students, land acquisitions and real estate, school safety and security, and issues that require legal advice. However, after that private discussion, any final vote must be in complete view of the public. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, the agenda for tonight's meeting was posted for public viewing at least 3 days prior to the meeting. Okay, we will have some future dates up here for y'all. I will also say that today started early voting. So if you are in our areas or surrounding areas, please do your civic duty. And then that brings us to celebrations.
Yes, and we have a lot tonight, which is a great problem to have. Tonight, we're going to honor Prosper High School, the Prosper High School, and I've got to say it right. Mrs. Trujillo, please come forward with any of your staff, guidance coordinators, and assistant principals, anybody that you have with you tonight. So, pretty exciting news and monumental moment in our district. We are continuing the trend of recognizing schools who achieve the Model PLC designation. Tonight, we celebrate Prosper High School. Feel free.
Yeah, way to go.
The Eagles. Huge lift for a high school. It is for any school, but a high school, when you look at the magnitude of how many students, staff members, and the collective work you're trying to do together, impressive. And I know we have several of our high schools that are sitting as promising practices, which is the step right before becoming a model school. So they're right on the field. So Derek Gristle is with us tonight. Where's my friend here? There you are. And he's with Solution Tree. And he would like to recognize Prosper High School on this impressive accomplishment.
Very good. President Beavers, Board of Trustees, Dr. Ferguson, great to see you. Paige, great to see you again. I had the pleasure of going out to what I now know as the ship several weeks ago. And I have to tell you, it was a pretty incredible experience. I spent a lot of time in schools all across the state and all across the country. And it's one of those schools, and I can say the same for all of the schools I've been in, Prosper. You walk in, and it has a certain culture, a certain feel, and that's what makes a nearly 4,000 student high school getting this recognition so incredible. There are only 3 schools in the country of that size that have achieved this, and one of those is where this work actually began originally by our original authors. So it's really an outstanding achievement. And I think it's a testament to the leadership and the teachers on that campus. And we want you all as Board of Trustees to know that there's no magic in the work that we do or the research that we've done. It's the dedication and the patience and the critical thinking of the folks on that campus that know every student by name, what their need is, and they're not going to give up until they reach their potential and do everything they can to give them a first-class education. So I couldn't be happier to be here and recognize Principal Trujillo and her staff, and I'm going to give them their certificate and their flag.
Awesome. Way to go.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Way to go.
This is their walking off, just for our audience and those listening at home. So educators in the schools specifically Prosper High School with earning this designation, they're selected because they've shown us the same commitment to helping all, the word all, of their students to achieve at high levels. They've been willing to alter the structure and culture of the organization to reflect that commitment. And what Mr. Grissom was saying is that shift when we feel it in the building, and it is present in our school. So I appreciate that you said that, and I know that at Prosper High School, that is a standing legacy since 2009, when Prosper High School was built. So we're very excited, and certainly congratulations to all of you.
Awesome.
So we're going to move on now. Prosper ISD has been named a model PLC district, and Mr. Grissom is also here to share that news with us. Go ahead, Mr. Grissom.
Perfect. Thank you again. And I want to really, Dr. Ferguson hit on something I think it's really important for everyone to understand, and that is these recognitions are not something that you can win or you can favor your way into. This is a results-based outcome recognition where you have to show consistent growth of students across multiple demographics, multiple years in order to be recognized in this way. And so this is a evidence that students in this district are thriving. They have to grow for us to be here and give you this type of recognition. And I think I've shared before, I think there's so many tugs and pulls on public education these days, but everyone here in Prosper, you all, the district leadership, the campus leaders, the teachers, they kept the main thing, and that's educating kids, and they're doing a really good job of it. And there's a saying that sometimes it's hard to see the sunset when you live in paradise. Well, I'm here to tell you, not all school districts are created equal, and not hardly any of them are like Prosper ISD. And so you have a really good thing going here, and the dedication that people have to do that. We only have 8 model PLC districts in Texas. We added one since I got here last time. And you have 15 model PLC or promising practice schools with a couple of more already sort of in the pipeline. That would be more than any other district in the state of Texas. And I would be,
One more time.
and I, and Dr. Ferguson's favorite thing, I think, you know, they really, with intentionality and earnest, started on this journey not very long ago. And so Prosper achieved the model PLC status quicker than any district that we've had at Solution Tree. So really an incredible achievement, and thank you to the board. This is not just a recognition of Dr. Ferguson and her team and the folks at the campuses. This is for you all as well, and the entire community. It takes everybody to do this, and providing the resources and the time to plan and collaborate and intervene and create enrichment and rigor and all of those things. It takes everybody in this room to do that. And it's good to tell you that you're doing it better than almost anyone. So congratulations on being our next model PLC district.
Awesome.
I need a couple people up here with me. Stephanie Cockrell, Dr. Graydon Sipes, Bill McLaughlin, Wendy Young. I literally could bring 34,000 students up here, about 75,000 parents up here, a community that supports like no other, Prosper Education Foundation, 4,300 staff members could be standing up here because that's what this means. And that's what makes it so important, because it's a community award, because it is a collective effort of every single one of us giving our absolute best for our kids, and knowing that every kid matters in this district. So thank you.
Awesome. Well done.
Nicely done. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Man, that
Huge
was
deal.
awesome.
Well done.
So on to some great kid celebrations. We have a whole slew of students back in the back to recognize. I'd first like to bring out our UIL 6A State Film Festival, Prosper High School, with Coach Michael Logan. We have Rye and Nathan with us tonight. Rye, traditional animation state runner-up, and also documentary film state runner-up goes to Nathan. So congratulations.
Awesome. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Nicely done.
So we have the UIL State Film Festival with Richland High School, Coach Corey Nix. And we have the traditional animation, third place, produced a symphony of mishaps. Sounds like sometimes our schools. Gabriella Jones and Jalen. And okay, so congratulations. First time in school history.
Yeah.
Next up, we have 6A State Film Festival with Rock Hill High School, Coach Russell Owens. No, okay, all right. So, this is our 6A narrative film, third place, produced Yolks on You. That sounds intriguing.
It's basically about like a smear, like splashing, like smear assassin, where the main character takes it way too serious.
Really, I've never heard of anything of that. That wonderful game that got created by someone who didn't work in a school. Oh, a deadline night. Hey, tell us about that.
So we're doing a competition right now. We just submitted it, so that's why one of our Jay, he couldn't make it because he's actually editing right now.
Well, tell him that we missed him. I hope he's watching this.
Probably is.
Okay.
Awesome. Way to go.
Next up, we have 5A State Film Festival, Walnut Grove High School, Coach Sanchez. So we have Ariana, who placed third with traditional animation and produced The Fine Line. We have narrative film, third place, produced Glimpses of Us, and that's Olivia, Abigail, Liam, Nathan, and Shrivasta. Thank you. Okay. Excellent. Are they editing also in that? This didn't sound like the best thing in town. Okay. Congratulations.
Way to go.
Oh, wait, Coach Sanchez. I didn't miss your digital animation group, did I?
We kind of all came out mixed up.
Okay, but we're all good, right?
Yes.
Okay, we got
Digital
it.
animation, traditional animation, and narrative.
Excellent. I
Way to
didn't wanna
go.
miss anyone.
Thank
So,
you.
very good.
Nice job.
We have UIL for a state speech and debate tournament, Richland High School with Coach Smith. Come on over. So we have CX debate, UIL 4A state bronze medalist, Shrikar, and we have On Shul. And then we have 6A debate, UIL 4A state champion, Gavin, and we have Anand. Did I say that correctly? I want to make sure. Ahan, thank you, very good. Congratulations. I got to brag a little bit on Gavin too, because he's in the superintendent advisory. So we got to give him a big congratulations. He's the superintendent advisory. Take him over. Being a state champ.
Oh. Congratulations,
I would
guys.
not
Atta way.
encourage any of you to try to get in a conversation with any of these people. They will demolish you. National Speech and Debate Association recognition. So each year, each National Speech and Debate Association district selects staff members for recognition. based on their accomplishments and service to the organization and the students. This year, there was an unbreakable tie for the National Speech and Debate Association District New Coach of the Year Award, and those nominees are Prosper ISD teachers. It was Josh Smith from Richland High School and Hunter Parrish from Rock Hill High School.
Yeah, way to go. Oh, wait. That's awesome. Way to go.
Speech and Debate Association also selects one administrator to receive their National Speech and Debate Association Administrator of the Year Award. And this year's recipient is also from Prosper ISD. It's our very own Mrs. Racy Kane, Director of Academic Competition.
Yeah, right there. Way to go, Racy.
So just on the heels of valedictorians, salutatorians, and all things graduation, it's my honor to introduce the exceptional individuals who've gone above and beyond, not only in academics, but in character, leadership, and dedication throughout their years here. These are the students who set the standard, inspired their peers, and earned their place at the top of their class. Tonight, we recognize the valedictorian and salutatorian from each high school. Prosper High School, valedictorian, Bohm. At Prosper High School is Tanish. So you'll be doing both speeches.
I'll find it in my mind.
I have a feeling you're there.
Congratulations.
Out of the way.
Good job, buddy.
Nice job.
Next, we have Richland High School, and it's Bahar and valedictorian. Come on. Chloe. First ever.
First ever.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Nice job.
Rock Hill High School, valedictorian, Adar Shah. Our salutatorian is Ashvi.
Way to go, guys.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for doing.
Walnut Grove High School, valedictorian, Alexandria. And our salutatorian, Madeline. Speeches are ready.
Can't wait.
We'll talk.
Congratulations.
Nice job, friends. Good job.
Next up, we have our UIL 4A Division I Girls Basketball State
Let's
Semifinalists,
go.
Richland High School.
Yeah. Woohoo! Congrats, Rob. Out of the way. Congrats.
Record 35-5, undefeated in district play, 30-game win streak. Wow. So I'm gonna have each of you say your name as we go down the line so you can be introduced. And I love that y'all brought the bling with you. Good
Let's
call.
go.
Good call. Yeah.
Marilla Pujols, I'm Sarah Johnson. I'm Amanda. I am the writer. I'm Amy Watson. I'm Miriam Lee. I'm Katie Taylor. Michael. Chloe Brock. Maddie Walker. Lauren Williams.
You can see why I get to have fun with them. I'm coaching the show.
One of the scrappiest teams I think I have ever watched play. But they're also their teamwork, camaraderie, the way that they work together was probably the most impressive. And to be able to see this run, you put Richland on the map, because I had people asking me, "What's going on with your girls' basketball?" I'm like, "We're good. That's what's going on." What's in the next round? Can I have you guys all take a step this way so I can? Get in. Get in, Kelly.
I got you. Okay, everybody look.
The team that giggles.
Congratulations.
Nice work, Raiders. Out of way.
Hey, good luck, coach.
Good luck.
We have the UI Division I girls basketball state semifinalist, Walnut Grove High School.
Congratulations. Congrats.
Let's go. All right, just a few highlights. District champions. Playoff win in program history. And another really scrappy team, but I will tell you, Coach Hill has done it right. Every time I watch them play, every single one of these girls would come up to me and shake my hand and thank me for coming to their game. It was impressive. So good job, Coach, because that's what it's all about, teaching how to handle it, right? So, you introduce yourself, Madison.
My name's Madison Kumar. I'm Kylie Tucker. I'm Delaney Steinbrecher. I'm Philly Chastain. I'm Jayla Sykes. I'm Kendall Smith. I'm Nathaniah Baker. I'm Emma Hirsch. I'm Ainsley Hardy. I'm Ella Ward.
Coach Massey.
I'm Coach Gill.
Congratulations.
Way to go, girls.
Nice work.
Go 2-1.
Congratulations.
Well done.
Good job. Congrats. Congrats.
Next up, we have someone who would not want me to bring him up, and he definitely doesn't want to come forward, but he's going to. So Texas High School Athletic Directors Association Region 3 Athletic Administrator of the Year is our very own Coach Jeff Smith.
Let's go.
Smith has been named the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association Region 3 Athletic Administrator of the Year. This honor is given and chosen for the person who reflects leadership, commitment to student athletes, coaches, and the community. And I can't think of a better person to receive this honor in the way that he embraces all things. I'm always trying to be in a competition to see if I can get to more stuff than he's at. It's everywhere, literally supporting all of our student athletes and giving his absolute best for our coaches. So thank you, Coach Smith. It's my honor.
Way to go, coach.
Good way, Coach.
Jackson Elementary principal, Ms. Deidre Reynolds. Please come join us.
Miss Reynolds, that'll wait.
Deidre Reynolds currently is serving as the assistant principal at Thompson Elementary, but she has a long history and legacy in Prosper ISD. She's most recently been named the Jackson Elementary School principal for the 26-27 school year. 21 years in public education, 16 of those in Prosper ISD, and her roles include classroom teacher, reading support teacher, and assistant principal. And it has truly been our honor and certainly my privilege to be able to see you through all of those years. What a legacy, and I can't wait to see what she does at Jackson.
Way to go, Miss Reynolds. That's good. Well deserved.
Okay, and I think that's all I have.
What a slate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great stuff. Congratulations to everyone.
Yeah. All right, y'all got it. We're in a brief intermission. Wow, we're firing on all cylinders. As
No doubt.
I mean,
Celsius ahead.
okay. Let's see here. So that is a lot of celebrations. We are through that. Okay. Public comment. We had no one sign up this evening for public comment, so that will now bring us to our superintendent's report.
Yes, I'm going to take you back right before spring break, and we had our learner showcase at all of our elementaries where our students were able to share all of the great things that they've been doing and learning at school, and such a great time to be able to say hello to teachers too, and for parents to be able to thank them for the great work that they're doing in our classrooms. So that was learner showcase. Together we champion. And then our PEF golf tournaments, our Education Foundation continues to show up in big ways and really support this district on all fronts. I love too that our Hope Squad was really highlighted at that. They were sitting at the ticket table and quickly launching into what Hope Squad was about and why it's such an important program, and loved hearing that voice from our students coming to those who were joining us. And I do need to highlight that the man at the flag did get a hole-in-one because he's going to want me to say that. So congratulations.
Check out that get up too on Dr. Ferguson.
I was about to say, look at that fanny pack.
So I feel like I got punked. We were supposed to dress up in like 90s for the 35th anniversary, and well, you can see no one dressed up
I didn't hear anything
except
about
me.
that.
Yeah, so
Did they ever recover that golf cart that ran out of?
let's not talk about that. Celebration of service, another great thing that Prosper Education Foundation supports, but being able to truly honor our principals, assistant principals, teachers of the year, support staff of the year. It's such a nice event, and want to thank Julie Brantley and her team, Ms. Trotter and our communications team, Lisa Ciotti, for really making everything happen behind the scenes so that this night is just as special as it should be and is for each of our employees that's being honored and their families. And then lunch with our leader, was able to have lunch with our nurses, which our nurses are the ones in the shadows and they make everything better. And I think sometimes it gets a little bit lost that our nurses are also the nurse for our staff. They're nurse for the parents that walk in, they're nurse for all the students on the campus. And so they quietly do it. There was a little bit of a joke of like, we're actually going to get to eat lunch because they said I'm usually like mid sandwich bite and somebody, is sick or something happens. So it was nice to be able to honor these great individuals and really let them know how much we appreciate all that they're doing on our campuses. And then kindergarten launch your journey. This was kind of a new initiative for us, and being able to bring our families in. I really appreciate that every single elementary hosted this. And so there were touch points with the principal, the assistant principal, with the kindergarten teachers, but they made sure that there were activities and real things that the kids would be doing. And we also were able to show the families a video of what is the day in the life of a kindergarten student. It was very well done and very well attended. And so we were happy with the result of that, and kids were excited, and We had all the step and repeat, all the pictures, all the things going on, so that we can really give them that first class experience as they're entering into our schools in August. Okay, and then our current enrollment right now, we're at 1,766 students, and we are just 8 students off of having 34,000 students. So we are almost there and still climbing, and we still have quite a bit of school to get us through until the end. And here is our bond report. Projects. Probably need to add that the bulldog at Bridges has been named. His name is Brutus.
Love it.
That was the choice by the children.
They did well with that
They
one.
did.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have Miss Croy. She's going to give us a quarterly financial update.
Good
Hello, Miss
evening.
Croy.
Evening.
All right, I'm bringing you the second quarter financial update. These are the numbers through February of 26. We're going to look at the investment portfolio, our general fund spending, and our bond program progress. As you can see, our total portfolio balance right now, or as of the end of February, was $778.5 million, compared to $677.4 compared to last year. We've earned a little over $2.3 million in interest year to date, and all of our investments are in compliance with our investment policy with the district. So we're tracking, doing well there. Through the second quarter, we've collected $273 million of our $397.8 million general fund revenue. That is 68.69% collected for the year. Overall, we're slightly behind where we were last year at 72% at this time, but we're still within normal range, and there's no concern on our part with that. We'll get caught up pretty quick. Again, this is a visual of what I just showed you. You can see the bulk of our revenue is local tax, and then state pitches in the rest. On the expenditure side, we've spent $227.3 million of our $427 million general fund, which is 53% at this point. Again, salaries are our largest expense at 55.85% so far of this year's budget. I want to point out supplies are at 45.5%, which is noticeably lower than last year's 59.56%. And I think that's because we have become more aware of our budget and our budget constraints. And so everyone is pitching in and doing what they can, which I'm very appreciative of those campuses and departments making difficult decisions to help swing that deficit for future years. And again, you can see where we put our money is mainly in personnel at 84%, so we can provide the best quality teachers to our students. Here are things by function, and as you can tell, when we look at spending by function, especially the instructional categories, they account for roughly 83% of our total expenditures. So all categories, again, remain well within budget. There's nothing concerning that stands out here. Again, I just want to point out that instruction is our leading expense, as it should be. And again, here's another visual just in pie graph form, so you can see. If you were to add up the 67.9% of instructional leadership, and then instructional related, you can see that's the bulk of the pie graph. Here is our 2019 bond spending. We have 3 active projects out of 2019, and actually they've pretty much wrapped up. This will probably be the last time you see the slide. Right now we have no other active projects being spent out of 2019 bond. So I probably won't speak on it again for a while. I'll keep the finance subcommittee up to date. And again, I'll let you know if something does come up and we are going to spend funds out of that bond. But it has served its mission and we're good to go on that one. And then here's our 2023 bond for Prop A, which is again our building our structures and campuses. So you can see that some of our schools that opened this year, like Smotherman, Richland, they've almost finished out, and then Watkins, Bridges, and Rucker Elementary are on track as they should be. And this is Prop B, which is technology expenditures, and we're plugging right along there. There's nothing concerning. We've pretty much spent everything we need to. Transfinder, which is again for our buses, we're still building that in here and there, but that's about it with our Prop B as of right now. And that is it, unless you have questions.
Questions from anyone? No, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Croy.
I'm gonna go ahead
ma'am.
and jump into the
Yeah,
26,
You get to hear me again.
Woo.
I know this is different because normally you don't see this until June. And here we are in April. So this is new for y'all. It's new for us. So things look a little bit different. I'm calling this our first look because we were doing this so early now because of our new fiscal year change that the numbers are going to change. I know in years past, you would get your first glimpse of the next year budget and you would see that consistent number over the next 3 months. It's not going to happen at this point because we are still waiting on tax values, enrollment. We're still working on contracts with vendors. So I just want to preface everything you're going to see here. And again, this is first look. Next month, we'll look at near final. I'm trying to brand it, so. But tonight, we're going to look at our general budget fund, our debt service fund, and then the budget adoption timeline. Okay, again, I would like to remind the audience how Texas schools are funded. Mainly, I want to say that they're funded through the two primary sources, which are state fund and local property taxes. However, that is also based on average daily attendance. A lot of people are under the impression that we are funded on enrollment, and that is not the case. We are one of only 2 states in the U.S. who are funded on attendance. So, again, we are a property wealthy district, so the bulk of our funds is local tax, and we are sending our local tax dollars back to Austin each year because we are recapture. Okay, so these are the Prosper ISD tax rates for the past few years. I want you to notice it's downward trend is our total tax rate. Right now, we will not be talking about a 26, 27 tax rate until August. And that's when we will get those MCRs and I will present to you a new tax rate for 26, 27, and you as a board will adopt that at that time. Just to remind everyone of where we've been this year, we did adopt a $29 million deficit. But tonight, I'm pleased to tell you that we are anticipating a year-end positive surplus. At the time we created these slides, we were looking at $3 million. This number is going to change, again, because we're still wrapping up the school year and doing our due diligence there. We won't have a final audited number until October when our ACFR is complete. But we were blessed this year with that 10-month fiscal year. The goal was always to help the students and help the campuses to make ordering and buying things easier for them, which they have been very excited about this. But it was also a one-time win for us. So we will not see that again, but I will take it while I can. And then these are some of the identified savings that we've seen for next year. Again, delaying the opening of Watkins Middle School is our largest at $10 million. We've changed some staffing models across the district, and we've also reduced department budgets by $3.2 million. We've paused our capital improvements, which is fine arts and athletic expenses. And then we've clinched a contract with CoServe, which should save us about $215,000 on electricity. I want to acknowledge that these savings didn't happen automatically. This was a lot of discussing and hard choices made by our departments and campuses. So they've done a really great job jumping in. So here are our expenditures for 26-27. You can see overall we have an increase of 6.5 million, which I think is pretty impressive given that we're opening a middle school and expanding the capacity of an elementary. We're basically almost doubling the size of that. Campus budgets are actually decreasing. And again, that's the result of the savings work you saw on the previous slide. Now, what I want to explain is department budgets are up 2.3 million on this slide. And I wanted to be transparent about that because you just saw a slide where we cut department budgets. This difference reflects contracted cost and inflation in areas that we can't control, mainly in property insurance, crossing guard contracts, custodial and grounds, and utilities for 3 new buildings. So if we hadn't done our due diligence that you saw on the prior slide, that 2.3 million would be much, much higher. So, and this is where we are looking at for revenue. We should see an increase of 21.4 million. The bulk of that will be local tax revenue, and then the state will chip in the difference because we do anticipate an increase in students next year. At this time, I'm budgeting on a 2% growth. It's conservative, but with vouchers, we don't know what's going to happen next year. So I'm rather be safe than sorry at that point. We'll know more.
Okay.
So this is our first look summary. Revenue is 419 million, expenses are 433. So we are looking at a deficit of 14.5 million. I just want to be very clear what this number means, that this is a working budget. And again, these numbers will change. Next month I can walk in and you can see 9 million or you could see 20 million.
Yeah.
I don't know, but as of right now, again, we're at 14.5. So thankfully we have a strong fund balance, and that's what that fund balance is there for, is for us to use in cases like this. Okay, and then debt service. This is our INS. We have been at the max tax rate of 50 cents for a long time now, so that's great. We need that. Because the debt service is funded by our INS collections, and it's used exclusively for principal and interest payments for our outstanding bonds. So the 2 important caveats here are these projected expenses do not include any potential cost from the pending annexation, which we are anticipating could be upwards of $30 million added to our debt. And then it does also not include any new debt that we may issue this next year if we were to sell out any more bonds. What we have going for us, again, is a reflection of that 10-month fiscal year. We were going to have to use 2.2 million in our bond or our INS fund balance, but because we only had to make one of our debt payments this year, that money that we didn't put towards our second debt payment now is booked as excess funding or overage. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. So we look like we are putting back 51.5 million. It's just an accounting thing. That money is going to walk out the door come August when it's time for us to make our next debt payment. So at this point, again, it looks like we're going to have to borrow about 15 million out of that INS fund balance. And that's, again, before any more debt is issued or annexation decisions. And this is what we are going to look towards the next few months. Again, tonight was your first look. May, we're going to do a near final. And then in June, we will present, and hopefully you will adopt the budget for the 26-27 school year. In August, I will come back and we will do the adoption of the tax rate. And then at that point, I will present a budget amendment for 26-27 because we will have those certified values at that point. And so we'll have some solid numbers.
Yeah.
And that is all I have, unless you have questions about that.
I know this was fun, probably presenting as early with this change, and so I could tell your first look, you wanted to be very clear there. So I appreciate all the work that went into this to make you feel comfortable to come up and say, here's where we are.
It's a hard, I know our department has had a hard time shifting mentally. And I hate presenting numbers that aren't going to be accurate numbers. So yes, so thank you for your patience as I say the word first look 20 times, and then next month when I say the word near final 25 times. So, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more question, Mr. Croy. On the debt service side,
Yes.
with the annexation showing that the preliminary, just for clarity, that does not include the potential for whatever that annexed value comes in.
No.
Okay.
No,
Got it. Thank you.
we're working with Mr. Witt still. We've got some scenarios lined out right now. We're just waiting for that decision, and then we'll go to Plan B.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Croy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to number 12, our consent agenda. All right, everybody had a chance to review everything. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approve the consent agenda.
All right, thank you, Mr. Linker. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, I think, you get that? Was that you, Webby, or?
I think, was it Mrs. Dixon or?
Mr. Cavender? All right.
Was it-
Mr. Cavender has it
Yeah.
for those of you keeping score at home.
Beat me to it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion to be had?
Yeah, I need to abstain from item F for professional reasons.
All right.
12F.
Thank you, Mr. Van Wolf. Anything else? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? That is all 7 of us, none opposed. Consent agenda carries. Takes us to 13 action items. A consideration possible action authorizing the remarketing of Prosper ISD's adjustable rate unlimited tax school building bonds series 2019B. Okay, is there a motion on this? And if so, we're going to have you read the motion just for.
Yeah, I'll take one for the team and make it. Here we go. I move that the board approve the order by the Board of Trustees of Prosper Independent School District authorizing the remarking of Prosper Independent School District adjustable rate unlimited tax school building bonds series 2019B, supplementing certain terms of the order authorizing the issuance of the bonds, prescribing the form, terms, conditions, and resolving other matters incident and related to remarketing of the bonds, including the approval and distribution of a remarketing memorandum and the authorization of the execution of a remarketing agreement pertaining thereto, delegating the authority to certain district staff to approve and execute certain documents relating to the remarketing of the bonds and providing an effective date.
Thank you,
Nice.
Mr. Van Wolf.
Wow.
And,
Take a
I
breath.
didn't have to do that.
Done for the night.
All right. Is there a much less dramatic second on that?
I second the order by the Board of Trustees. on this-
Thank you, Mr. Dial. Okay, discussion on this one.
So just for the community, because I know that that was a lot of words. So this is working
was.
with our financial advisor. And so this is a typical thing that we do as a school district where we will go and remarket bonds. So this one is coming due August 14th, I believe, and it's about 49.5 million. So we'll get that remarketed. So kind of think like refinancing your home with a different rate. And so it actually will end up being a cost savings for the district. So it is a good thing, even though there were a lot of words. So.
You like cost savings, so.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions from anyone?
Oh, thank you for
Okay.
that explanation.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? That is all 7 of us, none opposed. So 13A carries. That brings us to 13B, consideration and possible action regarding GMP for Rogers Middle School renovations.
Phase 4, Mr. Pearson, come join us.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Good evening, Dr. Ferguson and Board of Trustees. We are excited to talk about the last phase for Rogers, Phase 4, and I'm sure the principal and the whole team and the kiddos are as well. So we're excited to turn that around. I want to walk through this GMP with y'all just real quick. So you'll see in front of you, the base bid that we have is $22,850,651. There's a few alternates to discuss as well. There's alternate 1A, 1B, and 1C. We're not taking those alternates as those are in regards to the units that are on top of the roof. Those are Lennox units to go to other units who are going to have different units from what's original, and there's going to be a cost increase. So it was a no-brainer to not go with those. And then right below that, you will see alternate number 2. which is providing new 30-inch deep metal storage assemblies as shown, which is in the ensemble room, percussion, drama for the 48,680. So that is included in that bottom number, alongside with alternate number 3, providing new synthetic turf as shown. That's on the back side of the school. We're having some issues with growing some grass back there with just some foot traffic, also the way the sun hits and just all the beauty of having grass. So the team is deemed to provide synthetic turf in that area for $123,328. And then alternate number 4 is demoing the existing terrazzo flooring and replace with new tile floor as shown for $189,769. That is in the cafeteria and also in that circle area right when you walk in, basically taking out that terrazzo and putting in a tile in those areas. And then to go with that alternate 4, alternate 5 is tied to it because it's all in relationship with how the lighting and the ceiling grid is all in line with that floor design as well that Huckabee put together for us. So that's providing that area 4 lighting and indicated on E3.07 for $31,487, which gets us to a grand total of $23,243,915. And that's in regards to dollars. So just walking through the school is the last phase, just wrapping up everything. So we're indicating sequence 1, which is going to happen if it gets approved tonight. It'll start right when the kiddos are out the last day of school, so right around that 5:20-ish to 5:25 date, which is going to be touching the band, ensemble, choir, and also the second floor of the science wing there. And that's so that we can work through how we have our logistics and phasing with the team and the school down, or the area down below as well, which is moving into sequence 2. And that's having that first floor science wing, which is on the west side of the building, and then moving into the east side, which is obviously the other science wing for sequence 3. And then most importantly is that sequence 4 doing the kitchen area. So we're going to be reworking that whole slab, gut line, and just everything, and have all new equipment, tiles. So all the food service teams are going to be excited to come back with all new equipment and that amazing food as well. And then finishing sequence 5 is the cafeteria and also the collab area, which is right in between those two science wings for that collab area. And then that should pretty much wrap us up, and the kids should be pretty happy, and we'll be out of their hair and have all new product holistically. So yeah, that's what we're going for, is the $23,243,915. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer those for you.
One thing I do want to share on the turf that we're adding, it is the foot traffic. So there's a lot of mud, and then you think about custodial services of having to clean whenever there's rain. But our other middle schools also have turf in the courtyard area. So this then brings equity to what Rogers is giving. And then the terrazzo tile, although nice and wonderful, but when we went in there and started taking door jambs out, you've got like sections of concrete, and there's not a way to get that same terrazzo back into that. And it's a little bit dated looking as well. So when you walk through the building, you would feel like, hey, I'm in 2008 and now I'm in 2026. And it's a little bit of an off-putting thing. So really just that rotunda area, it is the rotunda, Mr. Pearson.
Yes, ma'am.
Rotunda, not that circle area.
Apologize.
Yeah. And then the cafeteria also is where that terrazzo is. And then kind of down that main hall by the library. But that'll kind of make everything look continuous and the same, which will be nice.
What's the scheduled completion date?
So we're going to start this May, and they're going to go all the way till the end of next summer.
Next summer.
So you have a subcomp at 7/24 of next summer.
Thank you, James.
Yes, sir.
Okay, other questions? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move that the board approve the GMP for Rogers Middle School renovations in the amount of $23,243,915 as presented by administration.
Thank you, Mrs. Dixon. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Any discussion on this? Or any additional questions?
I'll abstain for professional reasons.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dodd. Okay, anything else? Hearing none, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and opposed? 1 opposed, motion carries.
Let's get to work.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson.
Thank
Thank
you
y'all.
very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we will now recess into closed session in accordance with Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Sections 071, 072, 074, and 076. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. The time is 9:15 and we are back from executive session. That brings us to item 15A, consideration and possible action regarding hiring of contract personnel. May I have a motion?
Sure
I
thing.
move that
Oh, go ahead, Jordan. Please, I insist.
the board approve the hiring of contract personnel as presented by administration.
Thank you, Mr. Dial. Is there a second?
Yep. Let me second that.
Thank you, Mr. Van Wolf. Any discussion?
Great long list of hires.
Hearing none, all in favor? It is all 7 of us, none opposed. 15A passes. 15B, consideration and possible action regarding approval of the terms of the superintendent's resignation and retirement.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Webb.
All right. I move to approve the terms of the superintendent resignation and retirement as discussed in closed session and authorize the board president to finalize the agreement as executed.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Dial. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor? That is all 7 of us, none opposed. 15B passes. 15C, we will not be taking action on this evening. So that brings us to the end of our meeting. Time is now 9:17 and we are adjourned.